we had some rumors today. And we also, I think, need to go over a couple of things because I feel like the general consensus of my position is it's quite hard to understand why I am in the position I'm in. So I was thinking I just go over everything because we have half an hour now before the game, so I'll just go over everything. The first thing I think that would be nice to talk about is what's happening since leaving Fnatic? Question mark. Well, first things first. That was a mistake. And I think two mistakes more happened that off-season. The first one being I didn't have an agent, so I did everything on my own. The second one being, because of that, I signed a shit contract. These things are not as important, but I will just mention them for the sake of mentioning them. So, the more important thing is, what happened last year? At the end of last year, what happened? So, G2 benched me. When G2 benched me, my first instinct was to stay no matter what. So I asked them, can I be sub? No. Can I fight for my spot? No. Which left me with having to go to another team. Having to go to another team. This, in turn, wasn't really possible because G2 put too much buyout. G2 buyout too high. And they only really lowered it. Well, actually, not only really. They actually only lowered it once every other LEC team signed an AD carry. But no, I think this part was just interesting to mention because I saw today Jankos got the question, and I actually don't know what he answered, but I figured probably some of you wondered this for me as well. And I actually tried my best to be sub / fight for my spot at the end of last year, but that wasn't an option. So that meant I had to go to another team, and G2 put too high of a buyout for me. I actually had multiple options, so I guess I will just start with this. Multiple options, but buyout too high from G2. G2 lowered the buyout. Lowered buyout when other LEC teams signed members, which left me with two options. Either I could take what I considered to be the best team once LEC wasn't an option, in this case K-Corp, or just sit on the bench. The reason why I couldn't sit on the bench was because of the things I mentioned up here. Signed shit contract. Basically, if I sat on the bench, I wouldn't be able to do anything and I would get no money. Like the contract I signed was just absolute shit, which is why I think there were a couple of mistakes actually. Not only leaving Fnatic, but also not having an agent and not signing a proper contract. I think those two kind of went hand in hand. If I had an agent, I would sign a proper contract and therefore not be in that situation. So a couple of mistakes there other than leaving Fnatic. But anyway, don't want to get too much off the point. So I couldn't sit on the bench. I, in my mind, had to get out of G2 no matter what. So with LEC teams being filled out, the only thing then was to look at what's best outside of the LEC, and in my mind that was K-Corp. I still wasn't cheap. Like when I say lowered buyout, my buyout was still substantial. To the point where this is still being a problem today. Now, a year later, I'm in a similar situation. I'm under contract again, and the money that K-Corp paid for me last year is money that they obviously want back now. So I'm once again in a buyout situation, and the money that has been circling around now, I guess in particular in EU and NA over the past 2-3 years, has just been way too much for the industry. Like the money that people are being bought out for is not money that the organizations are making back. So we have reached a point now where I think there's just a better wording for this, but we reached a point now where it's like out of control for everyone actually. So this year I'm still paying the price for the whole G2 situation because K-Corp had to buy me out, and therefore I have another buyout now. So it's not as simple as just going to any team. I actually have multiple options again right now, but the buyout situation last year and the buyout situation now is a big problem for everything. K-Corp didn't make LEC. I want to go to LEC, which means I'm exploring my options. I actually have multiple options again. So multiple options, but buyout still high from G2 times. Yeah, multiple options, but buyout still high from G2 times. So that's where we are now. I also want to add to all of this. None of this would be a problem if I smurfed. I just want to add this because sure, all of this sucks. And sure, I could have done so many better things to not end up in this situation, probably starting here, getting an agent and not signing a shit contract, or maybe just not leaving leaving Fnatic in the first place. But now we are where we are. And even with all of this, if I just played fucking good last year, because I think I played pretty good, but not fucking good. And I think similar this year, I think I played pretty good, but not fucking good. And if I did that, none of this would be a problem because then people would just pay whatever money was necessary for me. But I'm in a situation where I'm playing pretty good, but not good enough for it to be warranted the buyout that was last year and the buyout that is now. So troublesome situation, and it's hard for everyone to understand. For me to understand actually as well, but this is where we are. But none of it would have been a problem if I smurfed, so that's really important to mention as well, that I have power here. It's League of Legends related. Like, my power is within the game. My power is not so much outside of the game. It's within the game. And I think within the game, I didn't do as good of a job as I could. The last thing that came out today, looking for team support. So my idea here is not necessarily that I'm desperate, because I have multiple options already as is, and the buyout is the same regardless if I'm AD or support. So it actually has nothing to do with that. The reason why I mentioned this was just because I have been thinking to myself that I've reached a point now in my career where I think I can offer more than just playing AD carry in silence. So I figured, actually, I can just look for team as support. I have the game sense for it. I guess we can do something like this. I definitely have the game sense for it. I think it's actually one of my best things. I think it's one of my best things about playing AD carry as well, my game sense. But I think this is my strongest suit when playing AD carry, yeah. And it's something that would help me a lot in the support role as well. Maybe even more. Actually, yeah, I think I have the game sense for playing any role actually, but on support it's particularly important, I would say, because you have to really understand what's going on a more global scale than you need to do when you're playing AD carry. So it's really important on AD carry role, and I think it's my strongest suit for AD carry role, but it's also something I could bring with me to the support role where it's even more important. Second thing is I understand the role well because I've played alongside it for 12 years. If there's any role I think I could, plug and play in the game, it's support. I've played alongside support for 12 years. I understand pretty well what I need to do to be successful in the game, to win the game, basically. So I think it's an easy transition for me to make, a much easier transition for me to make in comparison to going mid or jungle or top. I always think I've been really good at picking up new champs. Whenever a new champion has come out, I've been really fast and good at picking it up. So with Aphelios, with Senna, with Seri, like all of the new champs I've played them fast and I played them good. So I think something similar could be mentioned here for supports, because for sure I am ready to play range supports. For melee champ, it's a lot different, and I've talked about this before, that the game is completely different when you play melee. So that would be something new for me to learn, but I think I have the work ethic to do that. But it's important to mention that this is like this thing that happened today. It's more just me thinking to myself that actually I am more now. Like I think I could coach as well. I think I could be caster, maybe not caster, but I think I could be on the analyst desk at the very least. I think I could do a lot more than playing AD carry, even though I already have multiple options. So actually none of this helps that. It's just, yeah, it's an interesting angle. Playing support. I think I could understand the game well enough to do it. I think I understand the role specifically well enough to do it. And I think I have the work ethic enough to do it. So it's an interesting angle. Just something that came to my mind. Yeah. Hopefully this covers a little bit what's been going on.